What's up, guys? We're here at the W Hotel, Midtown Atlanta. We're gonna hang out with Joseph Kahn. He's a music video director. Done some videos for guys like U2, Moby, Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, no-name artists. We're talking about his new film, Detention. It hits theaters April 13th, and we're gonna go hang out with him and see what is the inside scoop. See you there. Cool. All right. I guess we might as well just start at the beginning.
Okay.
Let's see. I guess my biggest question is you started out in Houston, Texas. And that's cool because my grandmother actually lives out in the River Oaks area. She's lived there about 30 some odd years. So.
You have a rich family?
No. But let's see. And then you went to your parents wanted to have you go to a medical school or something like that, and then you ended up going to New York University.
Yeah, my parents are from Korea. They're fresh off the boat, and they come to America, and they're like, let's go to Houston, because there's a bunch of medical schools, and our son will be a nice doctor and make us rich. But he derailed them.
So how was it? That must have been some kind of what was going through your head when you decided to drop out of NYU and move out to LA? What kind of motivated that?
I ran out of money, so what was going through my head was, oh crap. Because NYU is a really expensive school. I don't know why I even thought I could go there. So I went there for a year and a half, ran out of cash, made a music video for $2,000, and actually went straight back to Houston. And I worked in a movie theater, and for a year and a half I shuffled popcorn. But what was great about it was that I had all the free movies that I possibly wanted. So
right.
I just took advantage of that all the time. I mean, I remember during lunch, you'd just go into a movie theater and watch a piece of a movie for 30 minutes. You get to watch trailers, it was just I got to watch as many movies as possible. It's different than a video store. So the video store, you get to watch it on television, but here you get to see these big images.
Yeah.
And I remember another advantage was if a new movie came out, everybody had to line outside the door, and I could already just sit there right in the middle of the theater, and then they'd all come in, and it was just like a pimp job,
Yeah.
And that really affected the way I saw images, being sort of getting this sort of cut in line to see images as much as I wanted, or movies and cinematic ideas.
Nice. I got some more questions here. All right, so how did you go from scooping popcorn, and then what was the jump from that to being hired by U2 to do their music video, or getting your first big break? What was the?
Well, while I was scooping popcorn, I saved up $500 and opened up a banking account. A business banking account. I had a pager and a voicemail. Actually, I didn't have a pager, I just had a voicemail. And I went into business, and I started pitching myself around town with that $2,000 music video, and eventually got a gangster rapper to give me $15,000 to make his video. And next thing you knew, I was in business. And
nice.
I think over a course of a year and a half, I did 30 music videos, all around $15,000. And then eventually I moved to Los Angeles, and it was I was just so hungry. I was doing everything. I was doing some photography, doing the editing, doing anything I could, and just make myself better. And at a certain point, people realized, you give me a bone, I'll come back with a steak. And it just took off from there. But it was gradual. I never had one video that was the video that made me.
Right.
It was the $15,000 video turned into $20,000, 20 turned into 30, 30 turned into 45, and it just kept going up and up and up over a long period of time. In fact, a good chunk of the time, I was considered a hack. Because it was the nature of grinding your way and trying to do any job you can, and for me it was just a learning experience situation. But people are very judgmental, and they're oh, this guy just does crappy music videos. What they're not seeing is the skill level being made, and skill made within the limitations of what you're doing. And so I don't think I even got any bit of respect for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. Let's see. All right. So, what would you say was the best musical artist to work with?
I'm gonna say, I mean, there's a number of artists. It's very unfair to single them out because they're all unique things. It's literally saying, which is your favorite child, and you come from a family of 10 kids, and you've all raised them good. There are some bad seeds in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's great artists anywhere from Eminem to Kylie Minogue to Britney Spears to Moby to whoever. They're great artists to work with. And then the shitheads, but that's a whole other story.
What was, you say, the biggest challenge you faced on set? Let's just stick with detention. What was like the biggest challenge of detention when you're shooting that?
It's my money. It's my entire bank account on screen. Like everything I've ever earned on anything I've ever done is right here now. And it wasn't enough. Like I ran out of cash halfway through.
Man.
So it was like, then I had to go find money, and I wasn't getting investors. I did get investors, but I got loans. So I like every dollar that I brought in, I have to pay back. You know, so I am responsible for that. So every single penny in this movie, I'm paying for.
Right.
And that is very, very hard.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I'm guys, I'm broker than both of you. Like.
So what, like, having such a limited budget, let's talk about the opening shot of Detention. That was pretty insane. Did you ever think about, like, was there ever a thought in your head like, well, we could just cut this together somehow, shoot it a different way, or was it only that specific choice that you wanted to shoot it that way and it had to be like that?
Well, I picked a camera style that was very specific, so there's a certain limitation to the way that it's framed anyways. It's very, as much as people think it's a balls-out movie, it's got a very restrained level of technical stuff going on in terms of the way it's lit and the way the actual pans and dollies and screen space works. It's very refined to a very specific set of rules. But within those rules, I was trying to find out what is the maximum version of telling the story. Like I wasn't just going for pretty shots. Like what is the fullest expression of the idea that's going there? And I never restrained myself on that. Like there's a shot where she falls out the window, lands on the car, and we pull out and stuff like that, all in one shot. Like normally, I think most people would say that's an impossible shot. You can't do it for the money you have. But like I just knew that was the fullest expression of that scene. And so I just went for it. There's a scene in the middle of the film where I decided to do all this sort of like tracking, you know, and that's a seamless track. And again, I knew that was the fullest expression of how to tell that point and make the audience engaged, and I went for it. So that's one of the reasons why it went from a 31-day shoot to a 52-day shoot.
Gotcha. Now, what you talked a little bit in this article in American Cinematographer about geometric editing and how you have new theories. And I know we have some watchers here who are in film 1010, film 2100, whatever. They're learning about like graphic matches and conventional styles. You didn't really have any conventional coverage in this movie. So,
no, we had no master shots.
So no master shots. How did that affect, like, how would you describe your theory on geometric editing? Well,
geometric editing is sort of a macro theory of editing ideas that combines composition and movement and meaning. It's an extraction of the idea that, like, it's kind of like a build on the Eisensteinian montage, but I feel that perspective is more intellectual and left brain, whereas you have to interpret the image itself, and then, like, say for instance, a baby cut to a fork equals, you know, hungry, and the baby is hungry, and I think that's well and good, and for the most part, it's fairly accurate to the way people think, but I also think there's a right brain way of thinking that's more internal, where people are sensing movement, you know, like if one camera moves one way and something else moves the other way, that whatever you put in there now has a secondary level of emotional meaning, because just the feeling of the movement can create things. It's a much more musical way of thinking. It's like cutting vectors together, cutting shapes. But you know, it's a version of a filmmaking technique that I used many years on music videos, and expressed it through commercials and film and regular narrative film. But actually, I've moved on from geometric editing now. Now I have this whole thing called cinemusics and musics, and logic progressions and things like that. You know, a lot of these are like sort of personal theories that I use on a daily basis. That are like kind of like, to be very honest, they're kind of like patented techniques that I keep to myself. But you know, I'm always conflicted as to whether or not I should tell everybody about them or not, because I use them. And
right. Yeah, it's giving away your secret, right?
Yeah.
All right, so how, like, I know there's a bunch of, like, again, like I say, film students. How important would you say is a film degree? Like, could you, you know, say you were driven enough, could you do something without a degree? Or is it, like, how essential is it?
This is the real lowdown, okay? Film degree means nothing, okay? It absolutely means nothing. No one is going to give you a job saying, oh my God, he has a film degree from Harvard. What does that mean? Nothing. Like a studio executive will never ask to see your diploma. They just will not. But on the flip side, an education is the most important thing that you need as a filmmaker. Okay, like that doesn't mean that drop out of film school and do anything. What it means is that as long as you're learning the technical sides of it and being aware of other people, and you're in that environment, which is a wonderful environment to be in. Education is always great, not only because of the things you're learning in class, but the things about each other. You know, that transition in college is a wonderful time because it's that period where you go from a complete shell of a life, which is you're protected by your family and you're in a home and you can open the fridge and eat whatever you want, to college, which is a great stepping stone to, okay, where's my next meal might be coming from, like I might get kicked out of my dorm if I don't make, it's like there's a certain level of parameters that goes into the next step of your life, which is now you're completely on your own, you're pretty screwed, right? So I think within that space, I think that the education of things that you should do, like I think, like for instance, film students shouldn't just learn film. They should be taking philosophy courses. They should be taking like math courses. They should be taking like history courses. What they should be doing is like finding more things to tell stories about. It's the storytelling is such a huge part of what you do. Once you know all the technique, you got to be able to tell something. Because technique without anything to say, you're not saying anything. So like once I dropped out of school, I was still learning. To this day, I read American Cinematographer magazine. If anybody publishes any interesting articles, I do it. I read a lot of film blogging. I read a lot of film criticism. I'm always reading like 20 different books at the same time about a variety of different subjects. You need that internal process of learning in order to raise yourself as a human being, and by raising yourself as a human being, then you can tell better stories. Okay, Detention is like a multi-genre film. It's going to be unlike anything you've ever seen before, and it was constructed in a way that I felt was talking to a new generation. Look, you guys get blasted a lot for being an ADD culture, right? They say that you like one of the biggest arguments that film lovers go is, oh my god, these kids, they text in movie theaters, they're driving us crazy, have they no respect and stuff like that. And my argument is, they don't just text because they have ADD. They text because they're multitasking, and they specifically text not only because they want to talk to somebody, but there's a point in the movie where they're just disengaged. The movie is slower than the kids, and so what you're talking about is, you're not talking about a group of kids that are AD. You're talking about a group of kids that are super highly intelligent, that are smarter than when you were their age. Because you live in a world of the internet now. For the past 20 years, the internet has accelerated so much that you have a way of accessing information that's much faster and much more sophisticated than when I was your age. So when I see this new generation and you really analyze it, there's a lot to like. You are the least racist, least sexist, most progressive, most intelligent, hippest group of people ever to walk the planet. Like literally, you're the best version of young people that have ever existed. So I was like, okay, well, let me try to make a movie that speaks to them. And if you're going to do that, then you got to challenge them. Because if you're that smart and that good, if you're like, say like you're a fifth grader and you're a genius fifth grader, and you know what's exactly happening in the 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you're going to be bored unless you give them a 9th grade curriculum, and then their minds will expand, Mm-hmm. And the vast majority of movies are made for kids 30 years ago. They're still using the same techniques. They're still telling the same stories. And those beats are out there on the internet. Everybody has analyzed this stuff. People are aware of all this stuff out there. They can go to Wikipedia and find out about movies before they even watch them. So the level of knowledge that's ingrained in young people today is so heightened. I wanted to make a movie that challenged them. Like this movie moves so fast. I think a good chunk of people over 40 are just gonna tune out. When you watch it, I think it'll be compelling enough and so complex enough and still be funny in a way that hopefully you put down your cell phone, because if you look away for like 30 seconds, you're toasting this film. You're done, So that was one of my main agendas on this thing. Like make a multi-genre film that has a certain level of complexity that appeals to the mind of somebody who can multitask. Because guess what? Most movies, you guys don't even watch them like normal people. You got it on one screen. You got Skype on the other. You got Wikipedia to like get your answers for your test on the other. And by the way, don't do that because you can get some bad answers. and on your fourth screen, you probably have some porn going on. It's like that's what you've got to compete with these days. So Detention is a movie that is made for a mind like that.
Cool.
And as far as like some of the some of the story that you were talking about last night about the like where you got the story from, and what, you know.
Well, I mean, ultimately the story itself is it's a cautionary tale, but on one level, because most movies are, you know, tales that say you can't, you hopefully you don't do this because something bad will happen. But hopefully it's a reinforcement tale too, because, you know, the thing about like detention being a high school story is high school itself is a brutal place. It's tough on everybody. It's not just you out there, Mrs. Audience member. Everybody has a tough time in high school, you know? And so it leaves scars, right? So like the detention on a certain level is a discussion of how did we survive those scars? How did we survive getting past that weird period where you're experiencing tremendous emotion for the first time ever? Like imagine the first time you fall in love, you know, is as a teenager. First time you probably broken up is as a teenager. The first time you've ever gotten serious sense of failure, you know, it's when you're young. So all those emotions are so incredibly intense. It's amazing that anybody survives that stuff. But because you have like these, like especially with the brains today, like you have 17, 18-year-olds that think like me at 25, you know, but like they're so intelligent, yet they're still at the same time dealing with emotional levels that are just incredible, especially with the hormones and all that, you know. So it's amazing that anybody can survive that experience. And detention is like a version of that on an accelerated level in an hour and a half. Like you as an audience member should feel like what it's like to be a teenager again. If you're a teenager, it's going to be like going along with your life, and you'll go by the end of it, wow, how did I ever survive that? You got to watch the movie. You know, like the movie only opens in 10 theaters across the entire nation and the world. You know, and I specifically picked Atlanta, by the way. They had another location picked, and I was like, nope, not the right place. Atlanta has more of the people that I'm looking for, that sort of like sophisticated viewer. So like South Lake Pavilion, April 13th, that weekend, very important that people show up. If you want to see something that you've never seen before, and it'll make you laugh, and make you go, ah, that's me, this is the movie to go for, you know. And plus I have all my money in it, so I need to make some of it back. But take you and 500 of your friends, and we're great.
Nice. Did you happen to pick Friday the 13th as a release date on purpose, or was that...
No, they were just shifting around, trying to find a date, because, you know, like you look at other things, and then it happened on Friday the 13th, and I was like, dope.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, cool.
And I think that'll be it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.